When a ruthless criminal like Jens breaks out of a high-security lockdown, the logical move is to run as far and as fast as humanly possible. But high chances are, Jens is not operating on logic. He is operating on pure, unadulterated vengeance. The unconfirmed leak suggests that instead of fleeing Port Charles, Jens immediately turns right back around to hunt down the people who thwarted his grand plans. He is a predator who cannot stomach the humiliation of defeat, and he knows exactly who is responsible for his downfall. While the police are likely scouring the docks and the highways, Jens is hiding in plain sight, meticulously plotting a revenge scheme so dark and calculated that it will make your blood run cold. What if Jens's ultimate goal was never just freedom, but the complete and total destruction of the forces that dared to lock him in a cage? The truth might be way more complicated than a simple prison break, as Jens sets his sights on the one man who possesses the power, the resources, and the relentless drive to hunt him down to the ends of the earth. That man, of course, is Jack. As the head of the intelligence agency, Jack represents the ultimate threat to a fugitive like Jens. It seems like Jens recognizes that as long as Jack is breathing, there will be no safe haven anywhere in the world. Jack has the satellites, the agents, and the brilliant tactical mind to dismantle Jens's entire global network. High chances are, Jens decides that the only way to ensure his permanent freedom is to cut the head off the snake. The hush-hush rumor indicates that Jens begins silently stalking Jack, observing his routines, identifying his vulnerabilities, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Jack is a seasoned operative, a man who usually sees the danger coming from a mile away, but what if Jens manages to create a trap so flawless, so perfectly isolated, that even a master spy like Jack walks right into it without realizing the doors have locked behind him? The behind-the-scenes whisper details a horrifying scenario where Jack is lured into a deadly snare, completely cut off from his agents, his technology, and his backup. Jens is a master manipulator, and it seems like he orchestrates a situation that forces Jack to go off the grid, perhaps using a piece of fabricated intelligence or a hostage situation to draw him out. Once Jack is in the kill zone, Jens springs the trap. High chances are, Jack quickly realizes the gravity of his situation. His communications are jammed, his weapons are neutralized, and he is left facing a madman who has absolutely nothing left to lose. The unconfirmed leak paints a picture of Jack, the usually unflappable and suave commander, finally realizing that he might have met his match. The truth might be way more complicated than just a revenge killing. Jens wants to watch Jack realize that he has been outsmarted, savoring the psychological torture before delivering the final, fatal blow. This terrifying setup perfectly aligns with the drastic storyline shift that fans have been dreading. For weeks, the internet has been buzzing with unconfirmed leaks that Jack's time on the show might be coming to an abrupt and tragic end. It seems like the writers were heavily leaning into these exit rumors, building up an insurmountable sense of doom. What if this trap is actually the end of the line for Jack? High chances are, the audience is meant to believe that there is no way out, that Jack will take his last breath in that isolated room while Jen stands over him victorious. The hush-hush rumor suggests that the scenes were filmed to look like a definitive, heartbreaking goodbye, leaving the crew in tears and the fans on the edge of their seats. But just when all hope seems entirely lost, just when Jens raises his weapon to execute the head of the intelligence agency, a massive, unprecedented twist flips the entire narrative upside down. Enter Laura. Yes, you heard me right. The behind-the-scenes whisper reveals that the key to Jack's survival does not lie with a highly trained tactical team or a fellow spy, but with the beloved mayor of Port Charles. It seems like the foundation for this incredible twist is laid during a seemingly ordinary, quiet conversation between Jack and Laura at the local diner. Hi, chances are, during this chat over coffee and pie, Jack unknowingly drops a subtle hint about his current operations or his state of mind. Laura, who is usually preoccupied with city budgets and family drama, listens intently. What if that simple conversation is the catalyst for the most shocking rescue of the decade? The truth might be way more complicated than a casual chat, as Laura's legendary intuition begins to tingle, warning her that something is terribly wrong with the charming intelligence director. You have to remember exactly who Laura is. She is not just a politician, she is a fierce woman who has survived decades of terrifying encounters with psychopaths, mobsters, and evil masterminds. She knows the subtle shifts in the air when danger is rapidly approaching. It seems like after Jack abruptly leaves the diner or goes missing, Laura cannot shake the terrible feeling in the pit of her stomach. High chances are, she notices a glaring inconsistency, a missed meeting, or a strange pattern that everyone else, even the local police, completely overlooked. The hush-hush rumors suggest that Laura decides to do a little dangerous digging of her own. What if Laura discovers that Jens never actually left Port Charles? The truth might be way more complicated than anyone at the police station realizes, and Laura quickly deduces that Jack is walking straight into a fatal ambush. Driven by her fierce protective instincts, Laura takes matters into her own capable hands. The unconfirmed leak details a thrilling sequence where Laura, relying on her years of survival experience, tracks Jens's hidden movements across the city. It seems like she bypasses the official channels, knowing that waiting for a warrant or convincing the police chief might take too long and ultimately cost Jack his life. High chances are, Laura pieces together the clues: an abandoned warehouse, a secret property, a forgotten tunnel system, and follows the breadcrumbs directly into the heart of Jens's trap. What if Laura realizes that she is the only person who can reach Jack in time? The behind-the-scenes whisper paints Laura as an absolute powerhouse in these upcoming scenes, proving that you do not need a shiny badge or a fancy spy gadget to be a true hero when a life is on the line. The climax of this drastic storyline shift is reportedly one of the most intense sequences ever filmed for the show. Inside the trap, Jens is gloating, holding Jack entirely at his mercy. It seems like Jens takes this moment to reveal his ultimate sinister motive. High chances are, Jens confesses that killing Jack is not just about personal revenge. It is about sending a bloody, terrifying message to the intelligence agency, crippling their leadership and plunging their global operations into absolute chaos. What if Jens plans to broadcast Jack's demise to the criminal underworld? The truth might be way more complicated than a simple murder, as Jens prepares to pull the trigger, completely unaware that a silent savior is creeping through the shadows just outside the heavy door, ready to risk absolutely everything. Though, just as Jens is about to end Jack's life, Laura strikes with incredible precision. The hush-hush rumor claims that Laura does not just burst in screaming. She executes a brilliant, tactical distraction that completely throws Jens off guard. It seems like she cuts the power, triggers a massive alarm, or uses the environment to disorient the ruthless criminal. High chances are, her sudden and shocking intervention provides Jack with the split-second window he desperately needs to turn the tables. What if Laura actually physically intervenes, putting herself between the loaded gun and Jack? The unconfirmed leak suggests an incredibly dramatic moment where Laura's bravery completely shatters Jens's control over the situation, allowing the trapped spy to break free and disarm his captor in a heart-stopping, violent struggle. This is exactly where the brilliant subversion of expectations truly shines. For months, we have watched Jack play the role of the suave, untouchable protector, the man who effortlessly swoops in to save the day. But it seems like the writers are flipping the script entirely. High chances are, Jack is left completely stunned, staring in awe as the mayor of Port Charles, a woman he likely viewed as a civilian needing protection, stands victorious, having just saved his life. The truth might be way more complicated than a simple rescue. This moment fundamentally changes how Jack views Laura. The behind-the-scenes whisper indicates that Jack realizes how dangerously he underestimated her intelligence, her courage, and her sheer force of will. With Jens's trap completely dismantled and the criminal finally subdued and waiting for the authorities to haul him back to a maximum security cell, the immediate aftermath is filled with heavy, lingering tension. It seems like Jack, still catching his breath, looks at Laura with a completely newfound sense of profound respect and deep admiration. High chances are, he acknowledges that their seemingly mundane conversation at the diner was the only thing that kept him out of a body bag today. What if Jack confesses to Laura that she possesses sharp instincts that rival his absolute best fielding? The unconfirmed leak suggests that this shared trauma creates an unbreakable, secretive bond between them, a mutual understanding that they are both fierce survivors who refuse to be victims in a dangerous world. This drastic storyline shift is going to have massive, unstoppable ripple effects across the entire canvas. If Jack survives, the persistent rumors of his exit are completely squashed, but his character will be forever changed by this terrifying near-death experience. It seems like Jack will become fiercely loyal to Laura, perhaps acting as her shadow protector or offering the full weight of his agency's resources whenever she needs a massive favor. High chances are, Jens's capture will also expose a wider, darker conspiracy, revealing the traitors who helped him set the deadly trap in the first place. What if Laura's heroic actions put a brand new target on her back, forcing Jack to step up and fiercely defend the woman who gave him a second chance at life? The truth might be way more complicated, but one thing is absolutely certain. Their dynamic will quickly become one of the most compelling, unbreakable alliances on our screen. But before you breathe a heavy sigh of relief and celebrate this incredible, hard-fought victory, you need to listen to me very carefully. Surviving Jens's trap might have saved Jack for now, but drawing the attention of the criminal underworld always comes with a devastating, inescapable price. If you think the danger has completely passed just because the police finally have Jens in handcuffs again, you are ignoring the dark shadows gathering just outside the city limits. Keep your eyes wide open, because the next deadly threat isn't coming for Jack. It's coming directly for the woman who dared to save him.